Before Tori Kelly had a true solo career and an album, she had a YouTube channel. And on her YouTube channel, she was doing lots of covers. She did Thinking About You, she did Suit and Tie, and she did PYT. And her PYT cover is what we're going to be looking into in order to break down just one of these runs, because it's a lot that she's doing here. So we're talking about Tori Kelly on this episode of VLOTH. 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 Hello everybody, it's me, O'Neal Gerald, and you're watching another episode of VLOTH, that is Vocal Lines of the Hour. Today we're going to be looking at Tori Kelly's cover of Michael Jackson's PYT. PYT is probably the song that put Tori Kelly on the map in terms of her abilities and her runs, other than Thinking About You. But yeah, PYT was actually absolutely nuts, and she continues to perform this song, and she continues to perform it with extreme caliber and excellence. So we're going to talk about Tori Kelly today, but before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about her strengths and weaknesses. The reason that we talk about strengths and weaknesses is because singers use their strengths to navigate around their weaknesses, and the journey that a singer takes in maneuvering around their weaknesses is what helps to make their unique sound. So let's take a look at Tori Kelly's strengths and weaknesses. Hit it! Tori Kelly has a light, agile voice that allows her to easily maneuver around the usual would-be challenges of a pop singer. She has impeccable pitch accuracy. She is able to take her voice into her belting range as well as reach into her lower register with absolute precision. She's also gifted with a radio tessitura, meaning that she can soar up into the radio money notes with a more chesty blend that pierces through recordings. Her voice, however, can have a lot of nasality that produces her characteristic but sometimes criticized tone. This nasality brightens her belts but also adds a lot of twang to her mid-register. This can be a strength or a weakness. Her chesty belt can also waver her ability to fully support her notes as she gets higher. But ultimately, Tori can sing. So I'm realizing that we're going to have to break down this run in two parts. We're going to have to talk about the first part, the na-na-nas, and then the na-ooh-ah, that thing. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So let's fill in these dots. And the notes, here we go. And the syllable that she's saying throughout the entire thing is just na. So na 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 na. And she's in a very chesty belt, so we're gonna take out the blue marker. Na na na. I'm actually going to separate these a bit because she put some space in there. Na 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 na. And then we get the run. So na 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 na. So the first thing that's worth noting is that Tori Kelly is singing around a chord. So with the version of PYT that she's singing, she's in the key of C sharp minor. And in the key of C sharp minor, we have C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, and C sharp. And that's us using the natural minor scale. And let's number these as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. These numbers are what are called scale degrees, and on every scale degree there is a certain chord that is built on each scale degree. I'm not going to go through all of the chords, but the chord that we're going to be looking at is built on the 1, or I'll just even put the Roman numeral there. And when you're working around chords, for the most part, at least with what we're working with here, the chord will have notes that are found in the scale degrees. And so this one chord uses the C sharp, it uses the E, and it uses the G sharp. And we'll even talk about B, but I'll put B in blue because it's a very special note. So when Tori Kelly sang through this run, she used the chord tones of the one chord to outline her run. A very important thing when singers are singing riffs and runs and other musical ideas is that they sing around the chords. It's almost like they're telling a story and they're giving hints of where they are. So in order for Tori Kelly to effectively communicate the chord, she needed to use the chord tones. So we're gonna make this a little fun. Let's zoom in. Now, can you see any of the chord tones in this run? I see some. So I see some E's here. I'll just underline them. We got some E's. We got the C sharp. We got the G sharp. and we got another G sharp here, and then an E at the bottom. And then this special note that I've also used blue for is called the 7th, and we've talked about the 7th before with Brandy. Even though the 7th isn't necessarily in the essential triad of C sharp minor, it's what's called an upper extension, a little fancy note that gives the chord some color. And so she starts on that F sharp. It's a little bit nasally on purpose to kind of get that nya nya nya, to get that brightness, and then she goes into telling the story of C sharp minor through this run. Let's do it. Here we go. Okay, and so Tori Kelly told a beautiful story with the run that she sang. Say, Tori. Tori Kelly's in a very good place in that her tessitura is placed naturally very high. Tessitura meaning a little bit of a combination of two things. Her voice being it feeling the most comfortable for her, and also where she sounds the best. And so with a high comfort area, Tori Kelly can get away with chesting out a lot of her notes. And by chesting out, I don't mean that she's exclusively in her chest voice. She's of course mixing, but in her mix, she's using much more of her chest voice. And the reason why she can do that is because of her high tessitura, her high sweet spots, having a comfort level in higher notes. And so to hit those F sharp 5s, she braced her breast support and relied a lot on nasal resonance. I would sing my own F sharp 4s because her voice is kind of like 1 octave above mine, but I'm in a house and I ain't trying to wake up nobody. But that's some great knowledge for you, isn't it? So now is the moment that you've all been waiting for. It's the second half of the run. The outlandish, otherworldly upward run. I can only sing it very slow. No one to love you, babe. Oh God. Oh yeah. All right, so let's fill in these dots. So one thing that is just absolutely masterful that she does is that she starts in her chest voice, so we're using the blue marker first, but she goes immediately into her head voice to get a much lighter tone that brings down the music so well. So she starts at na, and then immediately she transitions into more of a heavy sound. Na, ah, 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 ah. 1, 2. And then as she's continuing the run, she's doing what are called inflections. Inflections are a little bit of what I talked about in my So Hyung video, where she was going up and approaching notes. That would be called an inflection of love. That's an example of an upward inflection. Or love. That's an example of a downward inflection. And so what Tori Kelly was doing is she was adding very little notes on top of these notes here, and she was going la, 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 but it's very fast. Want to love you, and she plays with the volume as well. Now, as I put in the notes, I want you to tell me if you can recognize a little bit of what's going on. Na, ha, ha, ha. Wait for it. Yes, it's the C sharp minor scale that showed up again. So she started on the 1, it went up 2, 3, 4, 5. She skips the 6, ends up on the 7 of the natural minor scale, and then ends up on the 1 to start this run. I see what you're doing, Tori Kelly. So of course if she was doing scales, la 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 la, she would have ended up doing something that she normally would do. If you were to go down from the 1 of E major, which is the natural major of C sharp minor, la la la, the 6 of E major would be the 1 of C sharp minor. So all she's doing is going up the scale. Da, 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 da. And then she skips up 1. Da, da. And a scale that's built on the 6 of the major key is actually called a mode, and specifically the Aeolian mode. But you didn't need to know that, really. Anyway, let's continue. 1, 2. And this little note is another G sharp, going down to an F sharp, and again an F sharp with that lead in, F sharp. You, babe. Great. Another thing, let's talk about these vowels. So we got na, ooh. And then she goes into I want to love. And she keeps on going, love you, babe. So to make the run interesting, she starts with ah, and then puts an oo at the top, and then goes back to an ah with the I vowel because she's actually singing now I want to, and then she puts the diphthong at the end, cuts it off. I want to love you, babe. Like, come on, Tori. So I originally planned to get through more than one run, but as you can see, Tori Kelly is more talented than that. So I guess another time I'll talk about more Tori Kelly runs or whatever. But until next time, I would like you to do a few things. I would love for you to comment below, tell me of other people that you would love for me to cover in this VLOTH series. And don't forget to subscribe, because this is the place where we think deeply so that we create art that changes the world. And don't forget the bell that's beside the subscribe button. Even if you subscribe, just click that bell. Alright, so I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll be trying to sing this run in my sleep. I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.